Hey, Austin, good to have you today.
Good to see you.
Yeah, it's great to have you on the show. I'm excited to talk about events with you because as you and I were just talking about, I was at NVIDIA's GTC, which was my first conference of the year, event of the year. So it's kind of the beginning of event season. Next, I have Google Next coming up, and you've been doing a lot of events yourself. So I'm just excited to get your perspective. What's working and not working in the world of partner marketing and events. But first, why don't you introduce yourself?
Thanks, Rick. Hey, I'm Austin Burningham. I am the Americas Partner Marketing Manager Team Lead here at Atlassian. I've been here at Atlassian for a little over 10 years now, and really have seen a lot of growth within the partner marketing organization over those last 10 years that I've been able to help grow this side of the business.
And Austin, did you come in with a partner marketing background, or was partner marketing new when you came to Atlassian?
It's partner marketing had just been formed at here at Atlassian when I had joined. I came to work for Atlassian because Atlassian had just adopted Elastic Grid as their through partner marketing automation solution. And so it was my job in the early days to show these partners how to use the platform and get them sending out emails to their customers, inviting them to learn more about our solutions and our products.
Very cool. And I'm sure you've seen a lot of changes over the 10 years at Atlassian. So let's talk a little bit about what you've seen change and how does that relate to a event strategy?
Yeah, for sure. What's interesting, Rick, is that you starting here, we had a big focus on email automation, like I just mentioned. But at that same time, we also had a really big focus on running just really big events with our partners. And when I say that, like, I'm not talking about big trade shows, but we're running large in-person events with our partners where they're trying to fill like a movie theater with 100 people, really like targeting every user at the customer company to try to get them to these events. And if we ever had like less than 50 people, we were in panic mode because you're trying to get like like I said, 100 people to these events. So it's interesting how that's changed because we just don't really see that anymore.
Yeah, yeah. So it's the old quantity versus quality aspect, right? So, and I imagine when COVID happened, I mean, everybody shifted to digital. Did you still try to get those kind of numbers from a digital perspective, or what was the change like going into the COVID world of event marketing?
Yeah, we had some partners who had built some muscle around live webinars, but not everyone. And so one interesting thing that we did is we were able to use the Atlassian Zoom account to set up child accounts for our partners. So a lot of our partners, for a little while there, got free Zoom accounts so that we could kind of help them transition into the digital world. And a lot of our partners became really successful at those webinars. And we've seen a few webinars where we've had hundreds of people attend. Not so much anymore. I would say it's interesting because as time has gone on, we've really kind of dialed in on the target titles that we want, really going after decision makers. And now we have some partners that are targeting specific industries that they want to go after. So we're really narrowing down our ideal customer profile for a lot of these partners. And the events and webinars are getting a lot smaller, but a lot targeted.
Mm.
And I love to see that because as we're doing these more executive roundtable type events now, if we're doing something focused on, say, insurance, the partner can invite an existing customer that they've been working with for a long time and have that customer tell these prospective customers their story of what it's been like working with the partner and adopting the Atlassian solution that they're discussing that day into their ecosystem. And that's what's really going to resonate with these customers, like when they can hear it from another customer that's lived through it and have the experience, and they share the same industry challenges. That's really going to resonate.
So there was a shift more towards the ideal person you wanted to be talking to. What was behind the shift towards the executive dinners if webinars were working well? Was it we want to try something different, or were you seeing a reason for going more in person coming out of the webinars?
Well, really, I think it's been the most successful partners are able to do both,
Mm,
because we're in a remote work environment now where you may have Microsoft headquartered in Seattle, but they have employees all over the country. So the webinars are a fantastic way to find those people wherever they may be. And an interesting stat that we've seen is that 80% of customers are attending a webinar before they decide to make purchase.
mm.
So it really is a platform where people are able to casually come in, ask some fact-finding questions to really see if this is a solution that they want to pursue. So I would consider webinars to be like a middle of funnel tool for us. And then we see these executive roundtables as a bottom of funnel activity where if we have maybe a customer or a handful of customers that we really want to convert, we're going to find out where they are and go to them and host the roundtable there and do this event specifically for them and the sales team that is trying to close the deal.
No, I love that. I think that's really helpful for the audience and thinking that the most successful partners are the one taking a hybrid approach. It's not one or the other. And then thinking through mid funnel versus bottom funnel and how we're going to market with these. So I imagine from a content strategy, you're approaching the content you're delivering on the webinars a little differently than the events, knowing it's kind of at different stages in the funnel. Anything you can share around best practices or what you see work well, or any challenges you're seeing from a content perspective related to webinars or in person?
I mentioned getting those customer speakers into the roundtables is so important. It's interesting, like you think it would be easier to get a customer to come on a webinar and participate in a presentation than it would be to get them to a live event, but we actually find it to be a little bit of the opposite. And some of the red tape is that customers are not able to have something recorded that can be in existence forever. Um, because then legal teams have to worry about how that content is maybe going to age over time. But we find it to be a little bit easier to get those customers on site and have them speak to the customers live if it's not recorded. So that's kind of an interesting nuance that we found in doing this. Um, I mean, but on the reverse, in terms of like the ease of getting a webinar together, you can get it put together and record it ahead of time, and maybe do like a live Q&A at the end, allowing you to do edits to the session before it gets produced and shared with customers. So that there's certainly some advantages there. Um, and the webinars we're doing with our partners are such extremely low cost. I mean, really, it's just an investment of time on the partner side to make those happen. And with enough promotional runway, we're finding them to be really successful still.
It's funny you say that it's easier to get customers to come speak at the live events than the webinars, because I think just naturally you would almost think the opposite. Any theory why? Is it like a premium experience? Is that what's getting them there?
It's always seems to be like legal and PR seem to be the roadblocks when
Mm.
it comes to doing a webinar. But it seems like, hey, if we're just like inviting them out to this event and we are in most cases offering to pay for their travel, which helps grease the wheels to make things happen. And then I think that the person can be a little bit more motivated to get their company to approve it if we're doing that. And yeah, that's some of the hurdles that we've been able to overcome. And what's interesting is our partners are typically more successful at getting customers to come speak uh, over Atlassian. And I think it's because our partners have really invested the time to build these relationships with the customers, and they're able to lean on them and say like, hey, like we could really use your help here. Can you please come tell your story?
No, that's super helpful because I know a lot of partner marketers I talk to struggle to get customers especially to digital events. And maybe, some of them haven't been thinking through the opportunity with face to face. And I think the legal PR makes a lot of sense, right? I mean, you record something digitally, it's there forever. Whereas a lot of these events, you get the Chatham House rules kind of environment. It's kind of a more of a safer place to share. Things aren't being recorded. And so, yeah, if you have legal PR kind of hurdles, maybe you can cross those with a face to face that you can't digitally. So I think that's an awesome takeaway. Austin, I want to ask you from a like event format perspective. I mean, we always know the happy hours or the executive dinners. Like, what are you seeing work well currently for Atlassian or for your peers out there?
Um, Unique experiences, Rick. We've been doing really a wide variety of things. One coming up here in a couple of weeks that I'm really excited about. We've got a partner who has rented the Porsche racetrack in Atlanta. They have 17 cars ready for us, where we're going to be doing like a lunch with a customer presentation, and then the customers are going to go out and drive Porsches around the racetrack for a couple hours. I wish I was going to be there because that's going to be just a really unforgettable event
Yeah,
on
me
a
too.
Friday afternoon. But that's not the only one. We just funded a San Francisco Giants game. We funded some NFL suites recently. We've got an event coming up in about a week for the U.S. Open tennis tournament happening in Miami. So, like, we've been getting pretty creative to think like, okay, like what is something that people would just love to go to, and how can we like weave in a customer story and like a small presentation around what is Atlassian, or like what's the next um, iteration of one of our products that's been released that we want our customers to know about, and leveraging these unique events to get customers there. One thing that I didn't mention that's not exactly at the partner level, but at the company level, Atlassian is on our second year of sponsoring the Atlassian Williams Formula One team. And with that gives us a great opportunity for most of the races to invite customers to join us in the paddock club, and really have a VIP experience where they get to have great food, behind the scenes experiences, being in the F1 garage, sometimes meeting the drivers. And it's like a very unique experience that, most people will never get to see. And luckily, we have those races typically are Friday, Saturday, Sunday, and we've been able to secure Friday as like our partner customer race day, and partners can invite their customers, typically C-level executives, to participate in these races with us, and have a day and a half living the F1 lifestyle.
That is super cool. I got to figure out how to get myself to one of those, and I'll take you. No, but so many questions in terms of like how you execute something like this. So obviously with the F1, it sounds like that's probably more corporate driven, but like the Porsche event or some of these other events, are you aligned with your events team from a production standpoint? Are you aligned with the field sales team from a, getting prospects there? What does it take to put on something like this? And, through the lens of somebody listening who's like, yeah, I'm a partner marketer. I want to do something really experiential. That sounds like a lot to put together as opposed to a dinner somewhere.
Yeah, that's true. But I don't think that a dinner anymore is going to pull people in. You're going to have to go bigger than that, something more unique, because there's just so many companies offering a dinner that's too easy to come by. So when you're thinking about, you got to pull people away from their jobs and their responsibilities, or maybe their families, you're going to have to offer something more. And so in planning these, I would say like we've really leaned into our partners to say like, hey, like what are some unique ideas that you have? And our partner marketing team also tries to come to the table. Hey, these are some things that we've seen that have been really unique, or what are some of the things that Atlassian has done that we think would be a pull for customers, and sharing those ideas with partners. So like as the ideas start to come together, and we have like confirmation that it's going to happen in terms of, we've got the venue, we've got the budget, um, we've got the customer speaker, then we start taking it out to the sales teams on the Atlassian side to say, hey, we've got this partner who's planning this super cool event. Here are the details. Here's how you can get involved. If you can get your customers there, I'm certain that you can come along as an account
Mm.
executive and participate in this event with them. And there's typically a lot of excitement on the AE side because they also want to be there, because there's going to be good attendance from customers, and B, they want to participate in the event itself as well. So they have motivation to want to be there. So I kind of find it has to be more than just a dinner to get both the customers and the Atlassian account executives excited.
It's interesting. So if I heard correctly, is it more the partner that's running logistics? And then, from your side, how involved is the partner marketing manager in terms of organizing the event and, pulling all this together?
Yeah, I mean, a fair bit of weight is on the partners to make sure that they're bought in and they are pulling their own weight to drive registration for these types of events. On the Atlassian side, like I'm helping them secure the budget, helping them drive registration through our sellers, and like also like helping put things together like the agenda, and just kind of like being a sounding board for it. Like, is everything that the partner wants to do in logical order and making sense for the best experience, and making sure that timelines align to best practices to make sure that we have enough time to plan and promote and execute, and then ensure that the partner is doing everything possible to do follow up after the event, and pulling in Atlassian sellers post event as well to talk about how did the conversations go at the event, what are the next steps for follow up from here, and who owns the follow up. Is it going to be the partner? Is it going to be the account executive? And making sure that they're copying each other in or inviting each other to any of those calls that are going to be happening with each of the customers afterwards.
I'd love to dig into that a little bit more. I just had a community call yesterday with a bunch of partner marketers, and the topic was proving partner marketing value. And it very quickly became a conversation around event lead attribution. And, because you have the events marketing team, you have the partner marketing team, you have field sales, you have partner sales, you have partners. And it was just like this, how do we measure success? So, I'd love to know from your perspective, just, what are the best practices around attributing ROI and success to these partner events?
Um, well, I would love to know how everyone else does it too, but I can share what we're doing. For every event that we run, we have a record in Salesforce for that activity where it tracks what it was, when it happened, where it happened, and after it ends, we upload a list of domains of all the leads that we collected from that activity. And then for the next 9 months after that activity, anytime a partner opens up a deal registration, we're able to track and basically match if that deal registration matches one of those domains that we've collected from a recent event or marketing activity. And if so, then we have some reporting in Tableau that says, oh, I see a match here. We've got this deal registration for, say, $1 million. And there was this event that took place on this date, and it matches them together. And it says, this marketing activity influenced this deal registration. Um, and we know as marketers that typically it's going to take several touches to convert any one of these leads. So let's say for that same example of a deal registration for $1 million, let's say it actually touched that account 5 times over the last 9 months. Then we basically split up that $1 million in 5 ways, so $200,000 a piece, and we would say each one of these 5 marketing activities attributed $200,000 of pipeline from this deal registration. So we're tracking pipeline, which is the deal registrations, but then we're also tracking closed bookings to see what actually closed.
Very cool. Awesome. No, that's super helpful. And we got a lot of different answers on the call. And the takeaway was it took a village, right? And I think that was the key. What you just talked about is just making sure you're assigning attribution correctly based on who's influencing, where it's coming from, and so forth. So that's the basis to a lot of this, is just proving success on what it is we're doing. How do you see this moving forward? I mean, I feel like, Atlassian's at the cutting edge of digital technology, yet face to face is kind of a premium when it comes to the marketing, services side of things. Is this continue? Does this grow? Does it scale? Where do you see it going next?
I can only assume, Rick, that it's going to continue to grow and continue down this direction of smaller groups. In fact, like one thing that we're starting to see more recently is partners doing like one-to-one customer site visits and saying like, hey, customer, like we're going to come to you, we're going to bring you a presentation that we want to share to give you an update on what we've been trying to talk to them about, or trying to sell them, in other words. And then after we do this event in your office, you'll come with us to a baseball game that night or something like that. So like there's like still that experience available, but it's going one-to-one to these customers because the deal is so important, that the partner is going to go to them directly and try to give them the information that they need to make a decision on the product or solution that they're offering. Yeah, that's kind of an interesting trend that I've been seeing just over the past couple of quarters.
I love it. You guys are doubling down on the high quality individual experiences. Now I'm thinking through my own. Maybe I should be doing like, Partner Vista will show up and we'll do a portion presentation one on one. So that's super cool. Listen, I really appreciate you sharing all this. This is a really great inside look into what's working at the event side of Atlassian. Certainly, if you're an Atlassian partner, there's a lot to be excited there to get, very senior C-level people in the room and drive some meaningful pipeline and experiences for customers.
Yeah, no, it's a great time to be here. Like, there's a reason why I've been in the seat now for just over 10 years because, some people say like, oh, like I couldn't ever do the same thing at the same company for that long. But it evolves so quickly and changes that it doesn't really ever feel like the same thing.
No, that's great. It's great. Well, Austin, thank you so much for coming on. I appreciate it. And thanks for sharing with everybody.
Yeah, for sure, Rick, anytime.
Cheers.